Welcome to Broncos Weekend, presented by Ent Credit Union, the official banking partner of the Denver Broncos.
Welcome to Broncos Weekend. I'm your host and Denver Broncos team reporter, Elisa Hernandez. And in the studio, we have Denver 7's Bradey King and former Bronco and ESPN analyst Orlando Franklin. Later on in the show, we'll check in with Hall of Famer Steve Atwater and DenverBroncos.com lead writer Aric DiLalla. The Broncos head into their last road trip of the regular season as they face the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 17. The Broncos look to bounce back from their loss in Week 16 as they still need one win to clinch a playoff berth. It all goes down on Saturday. So, guys, how do you see this team responding?
I think we're going to get a great response. You know, for a young football team that's hungry, that truly has installed a winning culture and built that this year, I think they're going to, kind of come out swinging, and it's going to be an exciting matchup this week.
Yeah, I agree. They had a little bit more time to sit with that loss, which I think adds to the preparation, but also that fire that kind of builds inside you. Like, they cannot wait to get out there. Bo Nix said that day they wanted to play right again right then. So I'm sure he's extra ready now. And the last time the Broncos lost to the Chargers in the regular season, they responded by crushing the Saints on the road the following week. So I feel like that's a good sign. And this team continues to prove that they're resilient. So I think we're going to see a fiery team ready to go and hopefully clinch the playoffs.
Yeah, the Bengals are fighting for their playoff lives right now because they're a win or stay home kind of situation for them. They're on a 3-game winning streak, but the Broncos have won 4 of their last 5 games. So this offense has really kind of gotten things going and been able to put some points on the board.
Yeah, and I think this is a springboard, right? I mean, you just talk about an away game, right? This is the last one. This is the last dress rehearsal. You approach this game like, hey, how do we play playoff football? This is how we're going to win, past this if we punch our ticket. So I think it all kind of aligns, and it's honestly put up or shut up time for the Broncos. You got a high power offense that you're going against, and now offensively, can we score a ton of points? But defensively, can we come up with that one stop to stop this high power offense in Cincinnati?
Yeah, the Bengals are playing some of their best ball right now.
Yeah.
You said it, 3 games in a row they've won. Joe Burrow's record in December is 9-3 in his career. So he
has some losses, so it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. But he steps up. So it's not going to be a cakewalk, but the Broncos know that. But to get into the playoffs, to beat the best, you gotta get past games like this on the road that are gonna be gritty. So I think the Broncos just need to have a sense of urgency. I think that's what Coach Payton has been talking about.
Well, they have a 2-game lead against the Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals for that last spot in the playoff race. So after practice, head coach Sean Payton and cornerback Pat Surtain talked about the mindset going into this matchup and how they're approaching defending against the Bengals playmakers.
Here we are at the end of the season. We know we're playing a good football team, a team that's been in the playoffs and kind of been where we've aspired to go. And so, like I said at the very beginning, all the details, we're going to have to play not a perfect game, but we're going to have to play one of our best games. And I think our players understand that.
We knew that we had to eliminate the explosives, eliminate their top threat. And, obviously Jamar, he's a great player, one of, if not the best receiver in the league. So, obviously, they got a lot going on with themselves on the offensive side of the ball, with the quarterback, with the receiver. So, it's going to be a good challenge. So, trying to eliminate them like how we did that time would be great.
Well, the last time the Broncos clinched a playoff berth, they defeated the Bengals on Monday Night Football. Now, this is a Saturday game, but I feel like they're ready for the bright lights of that matchup, too.
I think it's going to be a great matchup, specifically for the defense. We did mention that the Bengals have weapons. Look, they have T. Higgins, they've got Jamar Chase, and it's looking like the Broncos might possibly get Riley Moss back this week, which would be a huge help to that secondary. Yes, the Broncos need to get after Joe Burrow, get after the quarterback, but Riley Moss, I think his absence has been noticed in the past few weeks, so hopefully getting him back out there on Saturday will be a good boost, especially going up against those Bengals weapons.
The last time the Broncos played was Thursday Night Football. The whole world was watching, right? Now you get another opportunity playing on Saturday. A lot less games, right? More eyes on the Denver Broncos. So I think it's another opportunity for this football team to kind of change the perception of everybody around the league. Like, yeah, you saw this a couple weeks ago against the Chargers, but this is what we were able to do with refocusing, getting a little bit of extra time. I love it, Anytime that you could create a little bit of a storyline, I think that's huge for a football team. So I'm excited to watch them go.
Yeah, and looking at the stats, safety Brandon Jones and Surtain both ranked top 3 in lowest passer rating allowed in coverage in 2024. Well, before the Broncos head off to Cincinnati, we caught up with right tackle Mike McGlinchey to talk about the growth he's seen in this team and having the opportunity to punch their tickets to the playoffs. As you turn the page onto Week 17, a big game on Saturday, what is the mindset going into this with the Bengals?
Mindset's to get our 10th win and punch our ticket to the dance, right? That's all we want to do. That's all we've worked for to do, and that's we got all the opportunity right in front of us, and that's an exciting thing. So it's about executing to the best of our ability and bringing home our 10th win on Saturday. You guys have done a great job this season protecting Bo Nix. He's one of the least sacked quarterbacks in the NFL. When you guys are facing a player like Trey Hendrickson, how do you approach that challenge? Well, you certainly build it into the game plan. You certainly account for that stuff. We take care of third down. You find the big-time pass rush adjustments or protection adjustments in order to do block a player like that. But that, at the end of the day, it's fundamentals. Fundamentals win in this league, and it's a matter of controlling your mind against a player of that caliber and making sure you do what you do each week and not try to do something different. Like, I don't think there's, I don't know if you remember, there's an old Patrick Ewing when he was coaching at Georgetown. He screamed at his player, "Have you ever practiced that shot?" Right? And if you don't do what you practice, you're going to struggle. And so it's a matter of keeping your mind on what's gotten you here, your basics and your fundamentals, and letting it rip. The run game has been improving as of late. What's the key to creating those openings for your running backs? Well, it takes all 11 to run the football. It's, I know everybody likes to credit the O-line and the running backs and all that stuff, but if you don't have receivers digging out perimeter players or force or support players, if you don't have the quarterback, getting to the right mic points, if you don't have a good passing game, right, it makes it really difficult to run the football. And so it's about being a complete offense and making sure you stay in front of the chains and executing those calls to the best of our ability. A lot of rookies on this team, a lot of veterans on this team. How have you seen everyone grow from week 1 to now? I think it's a comfortability and belief in the system and the head coach and the things that we do. I think that's the biggest difference from here to the last year I was a part of this. There's a belief that we get things done now. It's not a shock to win football games close. It's not a shock to win. It's a true to our core belief that we belong here. We belong in this situation and we've earned it. And we just got to go make sure we punch the ticket this Saturday. One game away from punching that ticket for the first time since 2015 to get that playoff berth. What would that mean to you? It'd be huge. I know this city's been waiting for a playoff team for a long time now, and we're excited to bring that back to Denver. You definitely have to be impressed with this O-line. I mean, Bo Nix is one of the least sacked quarterbacks in the NFL this season. For a rookie, I mean, your offensive line is really coming in clutch. Yeah, contenders versus pretenders, right? Mike talks about, started the season to now where this football team's at. So it's a lot of growth from each and every individual. I think it starts with Bo Nix. Yeah, Bo Nix just brings that confidence and kind of that juju that's just like fun to watch, and I feel like his teammates have really bought in behind him. Yeah, and Bo Nix is going to have to evade Trey Hendrickson, who leads the NFL in sacks this season. Well, after the break, we will head to our video wall and check in with Hall of Famer Steve Atwater and DenverBroncos.com lead writer Aric DiLalla as they break down the play of quarterback Bo Nix. Plus, we have the numbers you need to know ahead of Week 17. Stick with us.
Bank better with Broncos checking from Ent Credit Union, the official banking partner of the Denver Broncos.
You're going to play tough games. You're going to, lose tough games, and it's the response I think that's critical, and especially for a team like ours who's young. We haven't made it to the playoffs in a while, and we have the ability to. So it's all about how we respond from the losses.
Welcome back to Broncos Weekend. That was quarterback Bo Nix talking about the resilience of this team and the ability to respond to adversity. This season, Nix has 22 passing touchdowns, which is tied for the most passing TDs by a rookie, and has 6 games with 200-plus passing yards, 2-plus passing TDs, and 0 interceptions. To break down more of his game, let's send it over to Hall of Famer Steve Atwater and DenverBroncos.com lead writer Aric DiLalla.
Thanks, Elisa. We are going to take a look now at the young quarterback, Bo Nix. Steve, it's been a few weeks since we've broken down what Bo's done, but I know you got a few plays picked out. Yeah. What are we starting with here?
Well, we're going to start with the play against the LA Chargers. Bo Nix, he's back at the quarterback position, and he sees the safety going back to the middle of the field. Let's tell him, okay, this probably covered 3, so we're probably going to have our guy Cortland Sutton be able to get behind those linebackers. And as you'll see here, I'm going to point this out right quick. Nate Atkins against Joey Bosa, that's crazy. I know Nate Atkins probably think, man, I can't believe I'm blocking this guy. But he did a really nice job with the spacing and also being able to get hands on him. And so back to the play at hand here. Cortland Sutton is going to try to get in behind these linebackers here, and Bo Nix is going to have to make an accurate pass to get that ball up over those linebackers to make sure that they don't intercept it. And he does just that. And this linebacker, man, I used to hate this as a defensive back, where they'll go up and bite on the shorter route versus being deep for the deep crossing route. But he did that, and that worked to our advantage. And Cortland Sutton made a great play, twisting his body around, coming back to it, and Bo Nix just put that ball right on the money, right where it couldn't be intercepted by the other team.
What I love about this, Steve, is everybody does their job, right? Nate Atkins just has to get a little bit on.
Yes, and you see it right there. Got him starred. That's a big block right there.
He gets him there. Cortland Sutton, he makes a little twist, a midair adjustment, goes back to get the ball. Obviously, Javonte.
And the O-line did a great job, too.
O-line does a great job. Javonte pulls that guy down, so everybody's doing their part here to make this happen.
Yes. Again, Bo Nix gets that ball up over the linebackers there. Great pass.
All right, Steve, what play do we have next here from Bo Nix?
Yeah, we've got another great pass to Cortland Sutton. And as you'll see, the way they're lined up here, Bo Nix is thinking, yeah, they got man-to-man, so he'll be isolated. Cortland Sutton will be isolated on the defensive back there. And as you'll see, when the play starts, man, this cornerback bit on this fake by Cortland Sutton. Great route by Cortland Sutton. And he's thinking pick six. I got one. But oh no. And right then and there, he knew that he didn't. He says, this is not a good position to be in. And Bo Nix just kind of selling it right there. You know, just a little bit of a pump there. Cortland Sutton is off to the races. Great pass by Bo Nix, getting it up, put a little air on it, get into the back right corner of the end zone.
He sold it there, right? As he's pretending like Sutton's going to run that little stop route right there. And the smiley face for the defender goes to a frowny face real quick.
Really quick.
There goes Cortland Sutton.
Touchdown, and that's the worst feeling for a defensive back when you think you're going to make a play and then it changes in an instant and the other team scores.
Steve, I know we got one more play here from Bo. I think back against Cleveland on Monday night.
Yes, back against Cleveland on Monday night. And as you'll see here, it looks like everybody on defense, they're going to be bringing pressure on this play. You only got one safety back here. And they're not going to do that. They're actually going to only rush 4 guys. And as you'll see, these are 2 defensive linemen who are dropping back into coverage. And as you know, defensive linemen, that's not really their thing. They don't like dropping back into coverage. They want to be rushing the quarterback. Bo Nix does a great job of feeling that pressure from his left side, getting to the outside. And normally that's not a good thing when you get outside of the pocket like that. But again, these 2 defensive linemen are back there trying to cover Devon Vele, and that's not going to happen. Bo Nix zips that ball in there nice and low, where if he'd thrown a high pass, it could have possibly been tipped. Nice and low where only Devon Vele could catch it.
All right, 3 big plays from Bo Nix. Going to need some more, Steve, against the Cincinnati Bengals on Saturday. But for now, let's send it back over to Elisa.
Thanks, guys. The Broncos look to bounce back from Week 16 and now head to Cincinnati to face the Bengals in a matchup with AFC playoff implications. Denver needs just 1 win in its final 2 games to punch its ticket to the playoffs. The Broncos are in the hunt for their first playoff berth since 2015. We dug deep and found the numbers you need to know. The Broncos clinch a playoff berth with a win in Week 17 or Week 18, while the Bengals will be eliminated from playoff contention with a loss. Cincinnati is on a 3-game winning streak, while the Broncos have won 4 of their last 5 games. The Broncos have a 2-game lead over the Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals for the final wildcard spot in the AFC. Denver is still able to move up in the seeding for the AFC playoff picture. According to Next Gen Stats, the Broncos have a 54% chance for the 7th seed, 18% for the 6th seed, and a 4% chance for the 5th seed. This will be the first matchup between the two since 2021. The Broncos defense looks to slow down the Bengals playmakers. Quarterback Joe Burrow has 7 straight games with 250-plus passing yards, posting 24-plus points in 7 straight games. Wide receiver Jamar Chase has posted 75-plus yards in 6 straight games, which could lead us seeing a matchup between him and cornerback Pat Surtain II. Another weapon is Bengals wideout T. Higgins, who has a touchdown in 5 of his last 6 games. In 2024, the Broncos defense has allowed 18.7 points per game, while the Broncos secondary has held quarterbacks this season to an 83.1 passer rating. Safety Brandon Jones and Surtain both ranked top 3 in lowest passer rating allowed in coverage in 2024. Surtain has allowed a passer rating of 39.1 when targeted this season. The defense will look to continue to add pressure to Burrow, who was sacked 4 times in Week 16. Denver leads the NFL in sacks with 51. The Broncos' franchise record in sacks is 57, set in 1984. Quarterback Bo Nix is one of the least sacked quarterbacks in the NFL this season and will look to evade defensive end Trey Hendrickson, who leads the NFL in sacks this season. He will also go up against the defense that has kept teams to under 21 points in 2 of their last 3 games. Fortunately, Nix has led the Broncos to a top 10 scoring offense this season. The Broncos have scored 27-plus points in 5 straight games. Wide receiver Courtland Sutton leads the Broncos with 71 receptions, 928 receiving yards, and 6 receiving touchdowns. Sutton is on the verge of his first 1,000-yard season since 2019. The Broncos' run game has improved. Running back Aric Estime notched the first touchdown of his career in Week 16. The Bengals' rushing defense gave up over 100-plus yards rushing on 6.2 yards per carry in Week 16. When we come back, Denver 7's Bradey King will have your fantasy focus for Week 17 and will reveal which players will call game versus the Bengals. All that when we come back.
Welcome back into Broncos Weekend. It's time for Fantasy Focus. Let's talk about the second-year speedster, Marvin Mims Jr. Mims caught 3 of 5 targets for a team-best 62 receiving yards in Thursday's loss to the Chargers. Most of that came from a beautiful 53-yard connection with Bo Nix. Now, Mims is rostered in less than 5% of fantasy football leagues right now. However, he could be a good player to pick up in the final weeks of the regular season, as he's been one of the Broncos' primary targets downfield. Now, Mims is averaging 5.1 fantasy football points per game, a point more than last season. He has 77.2 total fantasy points this season on 26 catches for 349 total yards. Not only is he getting more targets, but he is the spark on special teams the Broncos have needed this season. Mims continues to prove why he's an all-pro punt returner, making 2 game-changing returns against the Colts a few weeks ago and putting the team in good field position time and time again. He's a true playmaker, and it's been fun to watch from a young guy on this roster. Now, his fellow receiver, Courtland Sutton, had rave reviews for Marvin Mims Jr., and he also hyped up Broncos country for supporting this team down the final stretch.
It's been a long few years, and we owe it to them. You know, they deserve it, man, to be supporting us as diehard as they have over these years that we've struggled and haven't played up to par the way we know we're supposed to. It'll be huge for us to be able to give that to them for a late Christmas gift, and and then some. It's not just about getting into the dance. It's about maximizing those opportunities once we get into the dance.
I know the players on this team wish that they could have given Broncos country an early Christmas present, but we all like late gifts too. So I'm pretty sure they'll accept this late Christmas gift with punching their ticket to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think we'd all take a late Christmas gift, right? Any gifts around Christmas. So I think the Broncos, this would be a huge, beautiful bow on the Christmas season for them to clinch the playoffs. I'm not worried about Broncos country showing up, because they always do, like Courtland Sutton said. And I had a coworker that was at that LA game against the Chargers, and he said it kind of felt like a Broncos home game, honestly, with the way that this whole community travels and shows up for this team. So I think that's not going to be a problem. The Bengals obviously have their diehards as well, but I think it should be a really exciting matchup. There's so much to play for. Both teams are going to give their best. So
I'm super excited to see what this team could do in the postseason. Mm-hmm. I've watched them really evolve this past year, and it's been exciting. Even the losses have been exciting because you've been able to learn something from this team. Mm-hmm. We talk about that early Christmas present last week and losing to the Chargers, or we talk about a late Christmas present now with the Broncos punching their ticket to the postseason. I think the best present of all is something that we don't talk about. And if the Broncos are able to punch their ticket to the postseason, the Denver Broncos now become a destination team. You have a young quarterback, you have a great head coach, you have an elite defense, and now you got guys that look at the Broncos and start changing their view of the Denver Broncos that has not been here since Peyton Manning has walked out the door. Yeah. Guys were willing to take less money to play for the Denver Broncos because 18 was here and because they knew that this team was close to winning a Super Bowl. You punch your ticket this week to the playoffs. That's what now becomes the conversation around the National Football League, where guys will say, hey, I want to go play with Bo Nix. I want to go play with Sean Payton. I want to go play with that young elite defense. And that's how now you sustain a winning culture. And that's how we get back to Broncos country.
Yeah, and dropping some gems there for sure, because I think that's really important. Like, that winning culture is one of the things that Broncos country has really missed. And Mike McGlinchey talked about it. He said, we are at a place where it's not a surprise if we're winning these close games, and we want to keep that momentum going.
Standard.
And the way that you do that is by calling games. So it is time for a call game. Each week we pick a player we think will play well against the upcoming matchup and call game. It's week 17, and the team is on the road hunting down a key win, like O said, to punch their ticket to the dance. O, let's start with you. Who is your pick?
I got to go with a guy last week that I thought he was great, but there was a big penalty in that game, and I know he's chomping at the bit. I've watched him compete with Nick Benito with the get-offs in practice, right? Who has the faster get-off? And you know, when you got a guy like Nick Benito get into the quarterback having the sacks, you're saying, I want to be welcome to the party as well. So I got to go with Jonathan Cooper, because I think he's really going to step up this week and kind of really put Broncos country on his back and come up really big for this team, going against another big-time quarterback in Joe Burrow.
Love it. I'm going with the offensive side. Audric Estime, the run game looked so good in that first half against the Chargers. So if they can replicate that and do it for a full game, I feel like that would be huge. And whether he starts or not, I think Audric Estime has proved that he can make an impact with his legs. Sean Payton said he's super encouraged by it and alluded to him possibly getting more touches. So I think hopefully we'll see a big game from him against the Bengals.
Yeah, a nickname that the guys call him in the locker room is Mini Bus, because he's like a little mini Jerome Bettis. So high praise for Audric Estime.
Both went to Notre Dame too, right?
I mean, you love to see it. All right, well, there you have it. We will see on Sunday who calls game, and that will do it for this edition of Broncos Weekend. For Denver 7's Bradey King, former Bronco and ESPN analyst Orlando Franklin, Hall of Famer Steve Atwater, and lead writer for DenverBroncos.com, Aric DiLalla, I am your host and Denver Broncos team reporter, Elisa Hernandez. Thanks for watching, and happy holidays, Broncos country.